Are you all right, Daniel? Are you
Yeah,
fine?
I'm just a bit bleary-eyed. My son and I sat and watched the new Doctor Who 60th edition special. I'm a bit of a
Oh,
Whovian, though. Over the years, I've become really despondent, and
yeah.
I feel like the franchise is no longer as exciting as was. It's all about the message.
Oh,
It's all
yeah.
about the virtue signaling. Issues driven rather than character driven. And yeah, my son
In,
and I sat up and watched it till late last night. And he turned around and said a few rude words after once I'd actually woken him up at one point because he just said, I can't cope with this shit anymore.
yeah.
It's just absolute drivel. But
So
the
talk.
whole premise of the
So
story was
yeah,
was transsexualism
right.
and how
So pansexualism, is that when you have sex with everything,
no
or
transsexualism.
oh, trans? I thought you said
Yeah, it was all
pansexualism.
about
Okay,
trans was the big issue.
okay, gone then.
So it um
So how is that relevant to Doctor Who? How can that
well
work?
you got to see that this show had been hemorrhaging fans
Okay,
in the last 2-3 years particularly. um and the then director was so much about it being issue driven, and every episode seemed to be a sermon about
yeah,
something or other.
yeah,
Just yawningly boring,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
And then we all thought, with Russell T Davies taking it over, you
yeah.
know, um, he's going to revive it. Disney is putting £100 million into the show.
Ooh,
It's going to be
that's a lot of
fantastic. It's
cash.
going to be really cinematographic, and it's certainly you can see the effects are taken to a new level. And this is supposed to be the third, the third route, third reboot. So it's now series one, whereas up till recently we had what would have been series 13. So this is the third reboot of the whole franchise.
Is it really?
And
Gosh.
and they brought back David Tennant and Catherine Tate, who was sort of a dynamic duo about 15 years ago,
Yeah,
and clearly, had a good rapport as actors,
yeah.
and were quite fun and sparky. I have to say, it looked a bit dad dancing this time round. It,
Okay.
it didn't have. It looked a bit hammed up
Yeah.
in terms
So,
of
but what
the
about the
script and
trans
the
stuff?
lines. But
What
the
about the?
trans stuff is that Donna, who is this companion that Catherine Tate plays, has had a child since the doctor's gone. The child is now 16, was a boy called Jason, and is now called Rose.
Ah, I
Yeah,
see.
and
I
Rose
see.
gets dead named at the beginning of the show,
Oh
uh,
no.
and so on and so on. And it ends up that there's a bit of Time Lord, um, time vortexy thingy wingy that went into Donna, and then Donna, obviously, when she got pregnant, passed on this
Hang
Time
on a
Lord
second. When she got
thing.
pregnant,
Yeah, so she got married. She married,
but she's a
but
bloke, right?
yeah, that's all a bit. All right, so I'm probably losing. I'm losing people here, and I appreciate it.
No, no,
But
no,
anyway,
no,
the
no. It's not.
whole
It's not
thing
you, is
is
it? It's
there's
the
a
program.
secret. There's a secret password at the end which saves the day, which is non-binary, non-binary.
Okay. Right. Okay. I
You
see.
know, I mean,
Okay.
oh yeah, there's a bit where he he's introduced to this fluffy alien that looks a bit like ET. Which, again, if you're a Whovian, you'll know about Meet the Beep. Meet the Beep was a graphic novel story that was revived, that was written in the late 1970s as part of the first BBC comic, and it became a sort of a cult thing. That when would they ever put on the screen the Star Beast? It was Miriam Margolyes provided the voice for this. I mean, she's
Right.
quite irritating, I have to say, best of times, and she was very irritating in this. But But the doctor at one point misgenders Meep the Beep. He says, well, we'll have to ask Meep, what he thinks. And Rose says, you're assuming his gender, aren't you? And so the Meep says, well, I don't go by pronouns he or she. I rather take the definitive article, I am just the Meep.
Right. Okay.
Well,
that is one way to deal with all of this stuff, isn't it? Just to abolish all pronouns, or at least to abolish the third person pronoun.
Yeah, and there was a bit at the end where they also, Donna and Rose say to the doctor, we're going to do something that only a woman can do. We're going to let go, but when you presented as a female, you knew about letting go, but because you're now, a man,
I'm so confused. I'm very confused
by this.